The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavioral loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from.
Knowing what is true means not having opinions about truth, but directly seeing what is the case. And me, as your personal online guru, can tell you that the only way you can know what is true without having an opinion is by not trusting online gurus on their opinion about stuff. Because if you put your truth in the hands of another, when the only thing that can really know is yourself by self-verification, then you will always just have opinions. You are not actually investigating how things work, but just hoping another person does the work for you. And this works in many areas in life. You want to trust a lot of organizations around you to do their job. And if they are transparent and can be verified, even better. I think that for me, as this online existential help persona, I want to be more transparent over time, and I want to also show how I make my money and how this entire system works. And I believe there's a lot of value in just showing that there's nothing to hide. I mean, I have my privacy and I don't like to share everything, but to be completely honest, that yes, I am engaging with the most existentially profound topics that humans can deal with, and at the same time wanting to make a ton of money ethically through that. Now, why do I say this? It's important to put myself in the clear container that I'm at, because this is from where I'm speaking from, and this means that I have two motives, right? So on one hand, I really want to help people see what is the truth and understand how they can access that. And at the same time, I also want to make a business, and I want people to trust me and see that I have the authority to know what I'm talking about. And I'll keep increasing this authority over time. And I'm talking more and more certainly about stuff because I know my shit. But at the same time, you don't know that I know my shit. And the only way you can verify the stuff that I talked about is through your own experience. So all my certainty is absolutely meaningless to you if you cannot verify something by yourself. Only then something can be not an opinion, but actually known truth. Now, can we clearly differentiate an opinion between what is known and true? Now, on this philosophical existential layer, I know the truth. I've seen it, I've verified it, I am it. It is completely one with me. So it's not something that I can prove. And this is where this stuff gets very esoteric and spiritual. And people who are still seeking the true nature of reality and want to understand the nature of themselves, they usually get irked by people stating this because it just sounds like somebody wants to sell themselves, right? Of course it does. And at the other side, I want to report accurately what I'm perceiving. And I'm just trying to descriptively say what is going on within my own conscious awareness. Now, having said all that, there is a ton of reason why just believing something without actually verifying it by yourself is actually misunderstanding what is going on. Because in the non-dual frameworks that I use, you can always collapse anything into one, so that all contradictions basically exist simultaneously. And the typical example that I give over and over again is the opinion or the viewpoint or the spiritual philosophical ideology of determinism versus free will. It's just such an existential point. Or is there God or is there no God? Or life after death or is there no life after death? And my framework always tells you to try to figure out if you can make both and neither true. Meaning that if there are true opposite forces in your own head, like is free will true, is determinism true, try to fully convince yourself that determinism is true, and try to fully convince yourself that free will is true, and then see what happens if you then clash them together. You can do this with almost every existential or philosophical topic. You will find that everyone has a piece of the puzzle, and that seeming contradictions are only contradictions because language cannot actively express the oneness of all things. And an opinion would be something like me, for example, having the opinion or the belief that in the future technology is going to create artificial meat that will make all our meat eating from nowadays look absolutely barbaric. and that most of what is going to happen in terms of like revolution for vegans is that we're actually just going to stop eating meat because we're going to find an effective alternative grown in a lab that tastes very similar. So this for example is a belief that I hold, and it's kind of like also an opinion because I cannot actually tell the future. The same with where I think AI is going, the same where I think our culture is going, or what I believe is possible in the future, or my own political opinions. Like these are all in the realms of opinions. And if you want to go even deeper into the existential layers of it all, or like the epistemological layers of it all, I would even concede to you that I have the belief that the Earth is round, or I have the belief that evolution is real and true. And I would call it a belief still because the level of verification isn't as in-depth as the existential realization that happens through awakening or enlightenment, or self-realization, or whatever you want to call it. Actually, I try to move away from these terms because they usually just trigger guru energy, and this kind of makes people not perceive what you actually say, and hence that filter what you actually say through their own like insecurities. But I hope you can see where I'm coming from. And I would still say, like a normal casual conversation, I know the Earth is round. I know that evolution happened. I'm very, 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 very confident to the point that I would say I know this. And this shows that what knowledge really is in a colloquial sense, it's not absolute certainty. It is reasonable certainty, or certainty beyond reasonable doubt, like in a court of law. And then we say we know it. And if you want to be philosophical rigorous about this, then you can always insert doubt, right? You can always question, is it really known, or is it just an idea or a perception and stuff? And it's good, right? It's also good science. It's good introspection. But there comes a point where you enter existential bedrock, which is the no self, the impermanence, and the unsatisfactoriness of life. And in this, you can find deep insight about the nature of reality that is verifiable from first-person perspective that nobody can prove to you. And it will show you that reality is as much real as it is unreal. And there will be phases in your life when you have this realization where you derealize, like you kind of, it goes close to having sensations of psychosis or derealization and all of this kind of like scary stuff. And in these moments, life will 100% appear like it is unreal and that you're in a dream and that nothing really exists. And there's something very, very true about that, right? Like the realization isn't just some sort of illusion, but it is kind of an illusion if you only then get stuck on this half and cannot make the translation back to the body again, where it's just like, wait, it doesn't matter if I call it a dream or an illusion or, a hallucination. It's the only thing I know. And because it's the only thing I know and the only thing that I really can know as being a self that perceives, then it is actually kind of like the absolute truth. Like not some, kind of thing that can be doubted. No. When when love hits you, you know it, right? The moment you have something that you truly connect with, you know it's real. The same with pain. It makes it real. And you cannot kind of diverge it into some sort of fantasy. And after a while, these ideas of fantasizing about existence in this like abstract, detached manner become its own delusion and its own kind of distance from what is actually happening, from what is actually true. And then in opinion, in this more like conceptual space becomes more like an operating system. And the operating system controls all of your ego identity, the way you move to the world and the way you see the world. And in this way, people have like their own operating system and are just generally not aware of that operating system. This means that if you believe that you have no control over your life because you are a hardcore determinist, then this is going to be how you're going to see the world. And if you're going to believe in extreme freedom, you see freedom all around. And both are real. And none of them are, because they are both constructs of a human perception. And this is the way you can kind of remove duality thinking and merge it into one. And it will always bring you back to immediacy and an understanding of what you actually are. And I facilitate this through my ego architecture audit, where you can understand where are the dualities within you that cause friction in your own existential perception, and what beauty can resolve once you remove this friction and express yourself from this pure present awareness that truly understand what is going on. And in this understanding, you'll find that there's something kind of like an omniscience here, where you do always know everything that there's possibly to know, because you are completely whole in your own awareness field. And you see that in a very real way, it is everything. It is everything because it is the only perception that you have. It is what is now present. And in this, you can also see where the fear of death comes from, because The fear of death is losing everything, right? That the entire mode of perception just ceases to exist and you disappear. And this is not an opinion. That's how things actually are like. And any sort of fantasy around this is kind of like a way we try to cope with this reality that is right in front of us. Now, some things don't really work like this, right? Like if you want to be scientific about it and you say, no, but what actually happens after death? Like, is there reincarnation? Is there a new soul? Is there some other types of existence? Am I then just gonna merge into everything and into God? So there's absolutely nothing. And what if like there's some sort of horrible space, like kind of like a hell that happens after death? Like you can theorize about all these different frameworks of reality and what happens after death. And there it's always very important that it is always an opinion. You cannot know what happens after physical death before the physical body dies. And at the same time, and here's the paradox again, you can be pretty certain that existence is not going to go anywhere. It can only go anywhere if you believe you are literally the only thing in existence and that there's nothing but you in existence. But like even infinite nothingness is kind of meaningless in the face of like some existence somewhere. And if you believe that everything is interconnected, then it's pretty much irrelevant and there will always exist something rather than nothing. And if you see the nature of no self, see the nature of who you are, then you might identify identically to that and not with the body. And then you kind of hold the weird contradiction of my body and my death is actually the end of everything. And at the same time, everything will always be existing and I'm always going to be it. And therefore I'm immortal. And this is very difficult to parse for most people. And it seems like some intellectual mind game, but it is really a process of the nervous system understanding what is going on, understanding why we have children, why genetics exist after our own death, why life has this inherent movement towards something rather than nothing, why the universe is so ginormously big and seemingly infinite, and why still it matters so much when just one person we love dies. You can find this duality all over the place of extreme importance and extreme meaninglessness, like bundled together. And in this way, like the true nature of existence, you might also say, is death itself, because death is transformation, and transformation is what everything is made out of. There's nothing there but transformation if you're gonna really point it down to like the core perception, which is impermanence. And if all there is impermanence and transformation, what people really want when they are looking for truth is to control this transformation and make stuff happen. And this is where these ideas of manifesting comes in. These ideas where you can control your reality by having the right frameworks, the right belief systems, the right ego structure, the right form of thinking about existence to make stuff happen. And this actually works. And it's just called planning and execution. Look at everything that we humans have created. We have such an incredible persistence despite all the pain and all the torture and all the mourning. There's this drive within us that is a reflection of what reality is doing all the time, which is being endlessly curious about what is possible. And humans limit themselves by a ton of opinions they have so that they don't realize what is actually possible. And to get in contact to the truth, you basically remove all of these opinions, look at things for clearly how they are, and then the objective power that you are will reveal itself to you. And it won't be just in your opinion. It's like, oh, wow, humans are very free individuals. They have a lot of influence over what happens next. And then it's not just that you are changed in the present moment. No. You are actually the entire machinery of reality influencing itself, creating new opportunities, creating new experiences. And within that, you can find a lot of love for what is possible and a lot of love for, what you can do in this life. And I believe that this is what people are after when they are looking for purpose. They want to influence their existence. And the problem is that the ego does this from the sense of lack, that something isn't good enough, that you cannot actually know what's going to happen next, and therefore you should not do what you think you're going to do, or you have an opinion about what you want to happen, and it's not solidified. But if you remove all the opinion and you make it into a factual statement, oh, I actually want to become very rich, and oh, I actually want to live a life where I enjoy every day, and oh, I actually want to build something that I am proud of, or oh, I actually want to have this and this and this. And you remove all of the insecurity about if this actually is going to happen, or the opinion if it is possible for you, and you just execute what is right in front of you every day, then your life is going to make significant changes over, months and weeks and years of time. And this is where the idea of manifesting really takes fruit. And it comes by removing identity structures, by removing belief systems and opinions, and by noticing that when you remove them, what you're actually looking for is alignment with truth. And it's alignment with truth that will give you everything that you ever wanted.